All my adult life and teenage years I've been navigating under one clear goal or dream: to make music. I am 34, so that's 20 years, and that means most of my life now. We can translate this to any other scenario for myself or even for yourself if you relate to anything that I'm saying here. But for the sake of this video, we are gonna use the example of the musical dream. When I was a teenager, I had already very clear that I wanted to dedicate my days, my energy, my time, everything to make music and be able to play it. During the first days of my first band, which never had a name, real activity, or anything, I was sitting on the rehearsal sessions, waiting for the right moment to sing, and it never seemed to come. After a whole year of excuses, I finally sang. At first, I had the perfect excuse to not do it, okay? The place was filled with garbage, furniture, and we needed to remove all of that. We needed to clean it, to get it ready before doing anything, and we were going there so often, putting so much money and time into back and forth travel to that place. Once it was ready, it was a bit of a, now what? It was time to put the music together, and none of us was prepared. I can say that I had ambition, but I was not prepared. I remember one day that the guitar player was preparing his amp, and he said something like, "I know a guy that may be able to arrange a concert for us." And the rush that I had on my heart by hearing the word concert, because while I had my dreams very clear, very big, bold letters in my mind, very far to reach, at that time, I never really thought that it was possible to play a concert. I was so naive that I never really considered that. I thought that that was something reserved for the very best of the best. When we finally started attempting to do something, we tried to play our own songs and nothing was coming out of it. So after a long time, we decided to try out with some covers. And we went with Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden, and that's a trauma that I will never overcome, probably, or maybe. After some sessions, I decided to sing, and I was terrified, but I did. The guys were very happy and saying that I did very well. I did not. It was awful. But a part of me got calmed down, got relaxed, just by hearing those words of support, but more important, knowing that I had challenged my fears. We split short after, and I was still very stubborn on the idea of dedicating my life to music. Funny enough, despite not singing on the rehearsal sessions, I got some damage thanks to those sessions, because the rehearsal place had a lot of humidity and I had to stop singing for a while. Besides that, my vocal teacher, my first singing teacher, was not very adequate, and that contributed to the damage. That hurt, but I always took a lesson from every experience, and sadly the negative ones have helped me to see way beyond and see more of the things that I need to avoid. For example, my pitch issues were not directly addressed, and that held a lot my progress. Nobody can improve something if they are not aware that there's a problem existing. My social anxiety, on the other hand, has been a huge struggle through my whole existence, and I put a big effort into contacting new people, searching under the rocks. I tried out so many people that I have so many crazy anecdotes, but I was very decided to make my dream happen. So still being underage, I decided to make plans and launch my own online store, my clothing online store. Those were the days where online commerce was a crazy fantasy. It was another challenge. I received two types of opinions: either absolute admiration for my braveness, being so young and bold, decided, and the other ones, surprise and incredulity, thinking, this little girl is crazy. That was the same reaction as someone who knew that my dreams were to make music. So there was no really big difference for me. Never cared about what others think, unless it was something based on logic, because, But everybody has opinions, but not all opinions are worth to be considered. That store went up for several years, and that allowed me to maintain my activity. I was living in very small apartments, being flexible with my schedule, and doing everything that I could around the dream of doing music. I could work at any hour, at any place, really. And I could even do both at the same time, practicing, learning more music, having ideas while I was preparing orders or doing marketing or whatever I was doing. After many years of bad experiences, I decided to take the reins. If I was going to be on a band, and I was not able to find the right people to work with that align with my ambitions, I should be the one pushing forward. So it will be my band, my own rules, and my own dreams. It was for me, honestly, and so I did. So many lineup changes that I honestly have lost count. So many difficulties, disappointments. And every time that something bad was happening, my fire grew up stronger. I used those flames as an armor and as a shield to push forward and fight harder and become better. It's hard to improve when no constructive critiques are offered. And I mean experienced and meaningful, like I was saying with the opinions, because there's many well-intended comments that are simply useless. On the other hand, I had so much hate words, ill words, directed to me and my craft. And I did my very best to know the difference between them. But if I'm aiming to improve and grow, I really wish that I had that guidance, the good guidance, the constructive ones. A very delicate topic where egos are involved, and it's very hard to navigate and separate. The truth can be hurtful and discouraging, but hiding the reality is even more harmful. I personally don't want to live a lie. And not everybody is ready or caring enough to dedicate their time to be honest. To this point, I've been fighting challenge after challenge and never got any proper stability. What's the goal? What's the goal really? What's my goal? My peer seems to be either absolutely happy about their musical activity or drowned in the absolute darkness, thinking, I'm never going to be enough. Black and white, completely opposite. Meanwhile, I feel on a limbo. What is success? When is enough? When am I enough? Even my greatest idols seem to have struggled with the same thoughts, or at least at some point. So how can I, a mere mortal, avoid them? I found out that I can have ambition and aim for improvement while being forgiving with my mistakes and limits. I'm accepting that I'm not perfect. Never scared to work my ass off as hard as I need to fix things, but how do I leave aside the obsessive perfectionism and judgment that I put on myself? In the recording session of Gods of Death, I spent over 1 month in just one single track, Speed of Light. Recording daily, deleting track after track, because it was not good enough for me. And I stopped when someone else stepped in and said, wrap it up, this is good enough. If I don't go for it, does that mean that I'm lazy? Does that mean that I'm accepting that I'm not good enough? But good enough for whom? Because there's people that had reached out to me and has said the most beautiful things that I could hear. Some people have been saying that I'm their biggest inspiration and that they want to form a band because of me, that they want to do music because they saw me playing on stage. But I still don't feel good enough. I'm not good enough on my pitch, not good enough on my performance, on my agility, on my songwriting, on my ability to learn music theory, on my playing, on my recording deliveries, on my productivity, on anything. For some people in this world, I'm always going to be a terrible singer. It doesn't matter if one day I manage to become a flawless, absolute, perfect singer, which is not going to happen because I'm human, okay? And I know that I cannot please absolutely everyone. I'm fine with that. But the issue lies on me. I can't fully please myself if I keep that mentality. Many of my musician colleagues are in a constant battle between being passionate about what they do or wanting to completely give up. Sometimes several times per day, okay? I used to never think like that. Never, ever. In my collection of intrusive thoughts of the negative kind, I never thought of giving up. Fighting was the only way. If there was a problem, there was a solution. That was my motto. It is my motto. From doing my own graphics to save money and not get disappointed by others, to learning how to edit lyric videos, or crafting my own props, or doing my own stageware to launch my own releases, you name it. I was doing everything. If there was a problem, there was a solution. I made myself the solution as much as I could. But yet again, I'm human and I have limits. I always had that approach for everything in my life. It's a hard road somehow. It is very hard. If my laundry machine was broken, I was finding a way to fix it instead of calling an expert or asking for help. It's exhausting, and I'm paying the toll. How much money do I need to make a living? What's exactly making a living out of something? How can I make my life easier? Am I actually having a musical career if I'm dedicating my time to other activities? All that energy put on those fields has taken a real toll on me. And now that things are still far from stable, way easier than they used to be, I find myself burnt and unable to move most of the time, honestly. I used to live in depression, anxious for many reasons in my life, but music was my peaceful fountain. Even with the problems, it was so powerful that I managed to put all the shades away and find the energy to fight for it. Now the situation is more quiet in those terms, but somehow I'm tired. My body and my mind have limits. I keep going on it. And now that I can take a break, I'm able to see the consequences. I'm putting my musical journey as an example, but it can truly apply to anything in this life. That's what I'm doing in a moment of my life when I can stop and take that needed deep breath. I'm finally able to see things from a wider perspective. Time passes so fast, and I always have the feeling of losing it. So many lost opportunities and wasted time. So many, it should have been this way, but it was not that way. Time is gone. And now I cannot get rid of that feeling, but I'm embracing a new perspective. Use well the present so you can aim for a future. And of course, my ambitious and very anxious spirit wants things to be done as soon as possible. Now, before yesterday. I broke my little toe on my right foot some months ago and I didn't know. I wasn't sure because instead of taking a moment to go to the hospital and check it like I should, I just went on. I didn't rest, I kept going, I was walking, ignoring the pain, traveling, doing things here and there. And after too many weeks of suspecting it, I took the courage to stop, check the toe, and notice that there was a gap between the bones. And it was like, oops, it's broken. It's just a little toe, it doesn't really need a proper treatment because it's going to heal on its own. But it's an example. It's an example that has helped me to adopt this new perspective. Not only for my music, but for every other aspect of my life. In order to be stronger, I need to attend my wounds. In order to be more productive, I need to rest. In order to feel enough, I need to accept my flaws. In order to become better, I need to accept that I cannot be perfect. I hear so many times the same words from different people. You are the strongest person I've ever known. And I don't feel that way. I never like that. I feel sloppy, I feel weak, I feel stuck, I feel scared, I feel sad, I feel misunderstood, I feel fucking imperfect. My dreams are still there, will always be, probably, reshaped, adapted, I don't know. I'm always ambitious, but I'm accepting my humanity, not giving up, but understanding where my needs and limits are. Finding joy in little things now. I've always been celebrating little milestones, and the big ones, of course. But some of them seem ridiculous. Some people have been laughing at me, but I know that I put the fucking effort on all of those, and I was so glad to see the results. It's another way of staying humble, because I did it. It's another way of hugging myself. Finding that peace, appreciating the little things. I was celebrating those milestones, and I didn't see it as an opportunity to find peace. But now I understand the new meaning. After a whole life of putting on armor and battling against the world, I have the courage to be vulnerable.